Hi everyone, I'm Cody. I'm a marketing specialist here at Qnap, and I'm here with our product manager, Deval.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
And today we're going to be going over our container station. So let's take a look at the agenda here. We'll start things off by discussing what a container is. We'll then give some examples of some container use cases. We'll give a brief overview of the Docker containers and Linux, as these are both supported in our container station. And then we'll focus in on Qnap's implementation of containers with the app container station. After that, Deval is going to demo container station for us, and then we'll have a Q&A time at the end. So any questions that you might have, you can feel free to type those in, and we'll be getting to them at the end of the webinar. So what is a container? Containers are a lightweight virtualization technology, and when a server deploys a container, rather than hosting the entire operating system as an independent workstation, containers are typically used to deploy like a single app and can cover a wide variety of functions. Even things like an entire Linux distribution can be available as a container. When deploying a container, you need an image for whichever application you want to run, and then you need to create a container with the image file. Once you have this set up, you'll be able to run the app on the server, and it will be sandboxed and separate from the server's OS, similar to a virtual machine, but just that app. And so containers run on top of servers or can run on your computer, and they utilize resources from whatever they're running on, similar to a VM. However, with containers, there's significantly less overhead. You don't need to run the entire operating system and then run the app on top of that. So the containers derive the hardware resources more directly. Multiple containers will share the same kernel, rather than requiring individual kernels for each container. Containers also start up faster than VMs as well. And so running single apps in a contained manner often makes more sense than running a VM if you just want to run that app. VMs can provide entire workstations, whereas with the containers, we're typically looking at singular apps. And Deval will be demoing a Chia Coin mining container later on. And by deploying this as a container rather than a VM, it won't have the overhead of running the entire operating system. And so it will be a more efficient use of resources. If we were to run this on a virtual machine, the entire operating system would be running as well as the application. And like this example, you'll often be better served by deploying a container in situations like this where you only want to virtualize that single app. Um, and I also see a question asking if we're going to be sending our recording afterwards. And we will have a follow-up. This will go up on YouTube as well. And so for some container use cases here, the possibilities are practically endless, as any developer can go ahead and create a Docker image and make it available to pull from the Docker Hub and use it to create a container. But a few examples include home automation and IoT apps, mining for cryptocurrencies such as Chia Coin, like we're going to do later today, ad blocker apps like Pi-hole, and the list goes on and on. And you can also run the Linux OS as a Linux container or set. You can run a WordPress container as well. So utilizing containers is also a useful tool for developers. Oftentimes when developing various applications, a developer might run into compatibility issues when they try to run the program on a device that they weren't initially testing it on. And containers can enable more flexible deployment of applications because everything that the program is reliant on is packaged into the container. So that container within itself will hold everything needed to maintain the compatibility for that app. And QNAP's container station makes it really simple to deploy containers on the QNAP NAS. There's an overview section that enables you to easily view the containers that are running and any containers that are stopped. You can also see the CPU and memory usage. There's also a create section with some containers available to install right there on the spot, just with a click of the button. Or you can search for a container you happen to be looking for in the search bar. This search feature is also integrated with the Docker Hub, making it easy to find and install the Docker containers that you're looking for. There are a number of options to select between when creating a container with Container Station, such as how the container's network settings are configured with QNAP's virtual switch. Also, you'll be able to set limits on the CPU and memory usage that the container will be able to access. This is in contrast to virtual machines where you would set aside and directly allocate resources for a particular VM. With containers, the resources are still available on the NAS unless they need to be used in the running of the container. And being able to set limits on hardware usage can help you ensure that your containers don't interfere with other processes running on your NAS. And another advantage in there is their portability, in that they can be moved between servers. Container Station supports import and export functionality so that you can move existing containers to and from the NAS. This can be used for backup purposes or just to migrate to another server. And so with that, Deval's gonna show us what this looks like hands-on, and he's gonna give us some demos with the Container Station. We'll just switch over to Deval.
Thank you very much, Cody. All right. All right. Good morning, everybody. So today we're going to we'll be demoing our Container Station that is available from our App Center. So to install Container Station, it should be available on your App Center. So once you log into your NAS, just click on App Center and look up Container Station, and then you can install the application. So once you install the application, you click on Open, and it will give you some guide. It will create a shared folder called for Container Station, so you can store your container data. You need to have a volume within the NAS to run Container Station, just like for virtualization station. So this is the overview of the Container Station. It will give you information about how many containers are running, how many containers are stopped, CPU resources, CPU usage, memory usage, just give you an overview if you have containers that are already running. So so you can quickly get information about your hardware and everything that's running properly on the device. Again, a few of the screens here. To create a container, you have to go to create, and you can search for images right here. You can also create your own application within the Container Station, and we can start using that as well. Or we have a huge list of containers that are already that you can search between. And then if you want to install certain application, you can just click on install, and it will start downloading and installing the Container Station. For today's example, I'm going to give you. I'm going to start with a container that is for IoT, which is Home Assistant. So right here, you have a Home Assistant application. To install this container, just click on install. And it will and once the installation screen comes up, it will ask you to give a name for your container. You can give a name. You can also limit your CPU. So you can click on auto start. So when your NAS reboots, it will actually start the container. You can limit the CPU usage and memory usage for that particular container as well. Under advanced settings, if it requires an environment, it will give you the information here as well. On the network, you can say if you want to be at NAT mode, or if you want to be on the same network as your NAS is on, you can also bridge it, and you can select which particular network switch you want to be at. I think I'm on. I have multiple virtual switches, so you can actually select which virtual switch you want to be at, and then you can put it on that particular virtual switch. So my main network is on virtual switch 4, so I can actually put say my container to be on virtual switch 4, and it will actually go to that virtual switch. And you can also set up DHCP or static IP address. So you can also provide IP addresses to your container. Under devices, you can also provide you can also ask the container if you want to use GPU or pass through GPU usage. You can actually if you have a GPU installed, you can click on add here, and it will actually select the GPU that you have installed, and then you can also pass your GPU. So the container will also use your GPU resources within the QNAP, and it will start running that container with that GPU. And then under shared folders, if you want to mount a volume within from the QNAP for that container, you can also mount the folder within the QNAP, so the container can start using the folders within the QNAP to store data. So for that, I'm not going to do that on this container. It doesn't require any kind of shared folder. For the next example, I can show you some examples that will require this particular feature. So right now, I'm just going to create a basic container. So once you've done all your settings, hit on create. It will give you an overview of our summary page, and then just click on OK, and it will start on the background. It will start downloading the container, and it will start running that container. While this is downloading a few examples, you can also import your containers if you like to. You can click on import, and then you can save it on the NAS, or you can upload your own container file. It will start, and you can start using that container that you imported. You can also export your own container. Just click on export, and then it will start exporting. You can also export images if you have images downloaded within the container station. Logs just gives you information about the logs that you have for that particular container station. So if there's any problems within the container station, you can check the logs to see what's going on with the container station. And the preference just gives you information about the container stations, IP address information, Docker information as well, the registries that you have installed, application repository where it will download the container information, and the certificate as well. Under images, they'll just give you information about any images that you have downloading. We're going to go through and downloading an external image, which is not present on container station. And then volumes is information about the volumes the container using, and then the containers that are running on the QNAP. So it's almost done downloading. Once it's downloading, it will start running the container. And once it starts running the container, I can show you information about how you can access the containers terminal, and also further information about how to access the container as well. So it's almost done downloading. Again, so container station, again, it's a great application that you can use if you want to just run a certain application. For example, this home assistant doesn't require any dependent application, so you can just install this as a container, and it will start using, and you can start using it as just a single application. Instead of setting up a whole VM just to run a single application, you can run it as a container. So once you've installed, it will start, and once it's installed, the container will start. You can click on the container, and you can click on terminal to access the information, and it will open up the terminal. Now, you need to find the IP address for this particular application. To find the IP address, you can run if command or ifconfig command, and you will see my application is assigned 192.160.0.37. So you can just type. Now, Home Assistant requires a port number, which is 8123, I think. Yes. So once it's so this is a container that is installed, and this is the application that is installed. And you can see you can open up the overview page. You can check the logs for this Home Assistance application. You can also do configuration as well for this particular Home Assistance application. You can join it to your Home Assistance cloud. So this is a home assistance application that we have on our container station that will actually, you can actually start running a home uh, like a home assistance lab on your QNAP. And this is a server state, and so you will see um, all my devices that I discovered, all my smart home devices that I discovered, I can control from this container station directly without having to install a specific application. And then if you have a phone, you can install Home Assistance application on your phone, and then you can start using this. You can connect it to your QNAP with this IP address, and you can start controlling your home smart home devices. So that's a brief example of how you can install an application within the container station. Another example I would like to give you for today would be Chia Coin mining. So we have a lot of users that were requesting this information. Um, so Chia Coin, actually, you can actually run a container which is on the QNAP that will actually help you mine Chia coins from the QNAP within the QNAP itself. So I'm gonna help you show that information as well. Let me stop this container from running. So before I start with that, with the container on how to set up the container, I have already prepared my environment for this. So for Chia Coin mining, you need to start creating plots. Now, creating plots is a very resource intensive. It's very resource intensive setup or resource intensive application. So what I've done is that I've installed an NVMe drive on my QNAP that will be used to create or that will be used to create my plots for Chia Coin mining. So because it requires a high-speed network, a high-speed SSD drives, um, so I've used my NVMe drives to use it as my as a volume to create plots. And once a plot is created, I can actually store that plot information within the hard drives. So if you look at my storage and snapshot, I've created two different volumes: my SSD volume, which is my two NVMe drives right here. It's on the RAID 1 platform, and then one my storage pool, which is my regular drives, and those are my regular hard drives that will be used to store my plots that I created from Chia Coin mining. So once you have done that, you can click on shared folders. You need to create two different folders. So I've created those two folders right here. One is the Chia plot HDD and one is Chia plot SSDs. So those are the plots that I've created. And inside the plots, I've already created a couple of folders I'm going to show you right here. So if you look at the file station, the first I'm going to be looking at the SSD volume, and the Chia plot SSD. So within the folder, I've created something called keys folder, and the keys folder just has information about the keys. So once you create a once you create a wallet, you need to enter the information about the wallet. So you have two options. You can either have the container create a wallet for you, or you can just create your own wallet and just put in the information about your wallet inside the folder. So what I've done is that I've created a text file, which is right here. And this is my wallet information. So I've created a text file, the key.txt, and I've just removed the .txt extension, and this is uploaded that information within the Chia plot SSD folder under keys. So that's the key information. The temp folder, I've just created this folder as a temp folder. This is actually where this is where the container will be using to create all my plots. And once the plot is created, I've created another shared folder right here, which is my Chia plot HDD, which is where once the plot is created, it will actually store that information within the plots. Okay, so once you have done all of that, give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. So once you've created all those folders, we're going to start downloading the container. Now, the container that I'm talking about is not available from our repository from the container. So if you look at the container, it won't be available here. So you actually have to go to downloads and pull that container down. So to pull a container that is not available, you can click on pull, and you have to enter a registry. To add a registry, you have to click on add, and then just enter GHRC, just name GHRC.io. And the URL will be http://GHRC.io. And then there's no username and password. Just make sure you click on test to make sure it's connected properly. I'm having some issues. All right, so GHCR. That's on my, it's GHCR.io. So once you have entered that information, click on test and then click on add. But I've already added that registry right here. So once you have done that, you have to pull the container, which is Chia-network/Chia, and then make sure it's the latest image version, and then click on pull. So once it's clicked on pull, it will start downloading the container. And once it's downloaded the container, it will start creating the container for you. I'm going to wait for a few more minutes to download, make sure the download finishes. Once the container is downloaded, it will automatically start that container, and then we can start adding plots. And we'll start adding plots within the container. All right, so once it's downloaded the image, you can click on create container. And here you will, again, it's the same exact setup. You can name your container. You can also click on advanced, and this is the environment I was talking about. So this container requires a lot of environment, so it's already pre-configured right here. So the only thing I'm going to change, only thing you need to change is the keys information. So you can either, as I mentioned before, you can either have the container create a new key for you, and you can, if you want to create a new key, just click on generate, or you can just say, I want to use the existing key, so I can just put it as chia/key. This is again not the this is again, it's not the folder on the NAS. I'm just asking the folder to use this particular structure. And then the plots directory, I'm just going to have, once it's created, just make sure it goes inside the plots directory. To actually show where the volume is on the NAS, so you have to actually click on the shared folder, and then click on under volume host, click on add, and this is where you're going to make showing where the plots are, where the folders are within the NAS. So the first one, I'm going to ask the SSD and the keys. I'm gonna so that is where my Chia folder would be mounted to, and I'm going to add another folder where my plots will be saved to. So this is the SSD will be where the plot is created, or where the Chia folder will be mounted to this particular folder on my NAS, and this is where the plots folder would be once the plots are finished creating. Okay, so just have to name it as plots. And so again, so the Chia plot SSD would be where the Chia Coin mining or the container will be using to create the plots, and the Chia plot HDD would be where the plots are stored once the plots are created. So once you have done all of that settings, just click on create, and then it will start creating the container. And once it's created, just go to overview page, and you will see a container right here. So once you click on that, you will have information right here. And then just click on terminal to get access to the terminals page, just type /bin/sh. All right. So first, we're going to be looking at to make sure that it can see the wallet. So the command to see the wallet would be venv.bin/chia wallet show. Let's hit enter. So no keys are generated. So no keys are generated. So we need to generate a key. So once it's generated the key, you will have your key information right here. So this is how you can generate a new key for your Chia card mining. So once you have done that, you can save the information that you have right here. That's the key information. You can copy that and then just make sure you save it at a location. Now we're going to be creating a plot for this particular to start mining, right? So we need to create a plot. To create a plot, you need to enter the venv/bin/chia, and we're going to create a plot, and then click create. Type create. /k would be the plot size, which is typically 32. The buffer size would be /-b, which is 8,000. The number of plot, we're going to be just using one for now, but you can actually create more than one as well. If you want to have simultaneous plot creation, you can actually have 10, 11, 12, or I'm just going to create one for now. And you're going to name it as where you want to run this plot at. So /chia/temp folder that I was mentioning before. And once it's created, where you want to save the plots at. So plots. Once you have done that, hit enter. So it's now creating now it has started creating the plots. So it started creating one plot right here. And if you look at the resource monitor, you can see my CPU resources have increased, and my RAM usage has increased as well. So it's not that process intensive. You're just using one. So you can close the container, the command prompt. It will start running this on the background, and it will start using this as well. And it will start mining that. It will start creating the plots for you and start mining it for you. Now you can, if you want to add another plot, you can just type terminal again /bin/sh. Click OK. Again, the same exact command. So venv/bin/chia plots create. Again, the plot size will be 32. Buffer size 8,000. Plot 1, where you want to create the plot. So Chia temp, and then where you want to save the plots as. So okay, again, so venv/bin/chia plots. We're going to be creating a plot. Again, create /-k for the plot size, -b for buffer size, -n the number of plots you want to start creating. So 1 for now, and then -t which folder it wants to use to create the plots, which would be my SSD folder, and then /plots, which is or /d where you want to save the plots after it's created. So /d would be the plots which would be my SSD drive, which would be my hard drive. Once you hit enter, it will create another instance of after creating a plot. And if you go back here, see my CPU usage increased again. So and my RAM usage also increased as well. So again, so we'll start running this, and it's running 2 different plot creation. So it's running 2 different plot creating for my Chia card mining. So this is how you can actually mine Chia coins from the QNAP itself using Container Station. All right, so that's for today's demo. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Deval. And with that, we will get into a Q&A time. Now it's going to be a great opportunity to ask any questions you might have about containers, about Container Station, or QNAP in general. Yeah, and we will also be putting this up on YouTube in a little bit, and we will give you the link to that when we send out our follow-up email. So yeah, just let us know what any questions you guys might have.
Thank you very much, everybody. So we have some questions here. First off, the question is Container Station available on all of the NAS models? So yeah, most of the NAS model will have Container Station available, and most of our x86 model NAS will have Container Station available. Those will be the newer ARM models, as well as the Intel and AMD models will have Container Station available. Another question is, QNAP hardware is mostly i3 to i7 hardware. These are not exactly high performance compared to 64 core systems, which QNAP has not yet met. So where does container? Not all containers are actually process intensive and require 64K 64 core processor. Many of the containers will run just fine on a smaller CPU as well, like an i3, i7 processor, like the Home Assistance application that I was referring to before, other applications also as well. But there are a few applications that would require a high core processing power as well. We do have 8 or 12 core CPU, the high performance CPU that are running on the QNAP. So higher end QNAP like a 3080 XU or 2490 XU, those are high performance unit, that enterprise unit that actually can run more processes off of the QNAP. So yeah, so there are a few applications that will require high core count NASs, but there are many applications that can run without any problems on a smaller NAS as well, even an ARM core ARM NAS as well. So is a container station similar to Kubernetes? Yes, similar to that. Yes. Again, container station is just running as an application that you wanna instead of having it on instead of running it within a VM. So if you have an application that you want to run that doesn't require the whole VM operating system, you can just open up container station, and if you have an application available within the container station, you can just run that application, and it will run just that single application. And everything that is dependent on that particular container will be running will run within the container instead of having the whole operating system running. So you have a lot less overhead running. So for example, the Chia Coin mining application or the Home Assistance application, those are independent application that doesn't require any kind of other dependencies. So instead of setting up a Windows 10 or Ubuntu or Linux machine on the virtualization station, I can just run and then having the whole operating system running in the background just to run that single application, I can just open up container station, search for that container, and I can just run that container by itself, and then it will be much less. It will be much. It won't use that many. It's actually very efficient to run as a container instead of having the whole operating system run behind on the background. Can I run QNAP OS on another computer? Is that what Hero does? No, Hero is our ZFS based ZFS operating system. Sorry, ZFS file based. So ZFS file system operating system. So it's another operating system that we have right now that you can install on a QNAP NAS, or you can purchase it with a pre-installed QTS Hero operating system, and then you can run. So, but if you want to run QNAP OS on another computer, we do have QTS Cloud that you can actually run either on VMware or Hyper-V, or even your own cloud service provider like an S3 or DigitalOcean or any other application that you can run. You have to purchase a license for QTS Cloud, and you can run that. You can run the whole QTS on that particular on QTS Cloud. Do we have any further questions? Does Hero work on non-QNAP systems? No, the QTS Hero is an operating system that requires a QNAP hardware. So you need to either purchase a QNAP NAS that has an H in the front, something like an TSH3088XU or TSH686 NAS. Those will have pre-installed QTS Hero operating systems that you can run on the QNAP itself, but it requires a QNAP hardware. So how many Dockers can be ran on a QNAP at the same time? You have to look at the CPU resources on the QNAP. So if you're maxing out your CPU resources, it's hard to tell how many Dockers you can run or containers you can run within the QNAP, or how many applications you can run within containerization. Is just have to keep a tab on your CPU and memory usage, and if you see the CPU or memory usage start to max out, at that point you want to stop adding more container or more Dockers or containers or applications within the containerization. Can you use Dockers to divide storage spaces? I would need more information on that, because we do have storage and snapshot that you can actually divide your storage space into multiple folders, multiple volumes. But I would need more information on how you want to use Dockers to contain or divide the storage spaces. All right, we're gonna wait a couple of more minutes for any further questions. If not, then we can thank you for all for joining. Is it possible to make a container rely on another container? Yes. So if you have multiple containers, you can actually, when you create a container, you can actually ask the container to share resources with another container, and they can run simultaneously, and they can use each other's resources to run or to go off of each other. So yeah, you can actually, multiple containers can rely on each other, and you can create a group of containers that are dependent on each other to run a single application. So Docker is an example to seem to take. Docker in the examples seem to take a time to implement. When to improve user interface in the future? Well, so mostly Dockers and containers require command line interface. So there are plans to improve the way the container you can create containers, but the process will remain similar, because the Dockers and container applications that you create within containerization would still remain similar to what we have. But yeah, as and when we receive more Dockers and containers, because these are again the same, the ones that we use are all third parties. So as and when they improve the interface, you will see that you'll see reflected on a containerization as well. All right, perfect. So if there are no further questions, thank you all for joining today's webinar, and you guys have a great day.
Thank you, guys, and keep your eyes open for the follow-up email. I will have a link to this recording as well. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining us.